Hello, good morning. So I have got a Technics SL-1900 in for a couple of little dicky repairs. The first one is it needs a cartridge, and the second one is that the strobe light isn't working. So I've actually made a start with this one before I started videoing, and what I'm going to do is I've removed the platter already and the cartridge. The cartridge is it is a Autofon VMS 10E, probably the original one. The needle's knackered on it, and for the price of the needle's 23 quid, I can get a new VM95E for the same price, so well, 40 quid. So I'm going to replace that with an AT one. The platter just pulls off because this is direct drive, and the strobe bulb is accessible on the main board underneath this top cover. So I've turned it over and I've took out what's that, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 screws, all the ones around the outside, and then once that's off we can remove the dust cover. So I'll just carefully remove that without damaging it. I like to put it on the carpet rather than anything else. And then once that is off, we need to loosen our tone arm, and these buttons and dials kind of sit on the actual switches on the board, so the only resistance you're going to get is from this. Put the weight all the way to this end, to the front, and it'll allow you to lift off the body and remove it. Nice and gentle. Okay. So this is our strobe lamp here, and it's a fluorescent lamp, unlike the 1200s, which I believe are all kind of LEDs. So I'm going to continuity test the two leads going into it, see if we get an open circuit, and if we do, then I'm going to have to look at replacement. Okay, so I'm going to set my multimeter to ohms and see if there's any continuity between those two posts on it. There should be, really, because it is obviously just a light. Absolutely no continuity whatsoever, so I think we can safely assume that is, just in case there's any corrosion on the nothing at all. So we can safely assume that that's knackered. What I'm going to do is, I've had a look in the service manual, and it doesn't actually say, it says NL there, it doesn't actually say what rating it is or anything like that. So I think I'm going to power it up and activate the tone arm, and then try and put voltage tester through the two terminals and see what voltage is going into it. Maybe we can test fit a lamp or an LED or something similar like that, and then somehow fit it in there. Alright, so we're powered up, so this should fire without electrocuting myself. This should fire as soon as you operate the turntable, the tone arm towards the platter. The microswitch underneath here is activated, and it should, in theory, activate that. So that should be on now. So now I'm going to put a voltmeter across there and see if I can see what kind of voltage is going to it. And it is flashing between maximum about, oh, it seems to actually be, so maybe we have just a poor connection then, and check our solder leads. As you can see, that's on. I just want to put a little bit of, just move the camera, when we applied a little bit of pressure there, it did actually fire. So to me, it's potentially one of these dry solder, one of these joints under here is maybe a bit of dry solder. We need to get underneath and see if we can just investigate those. that side didn't do anything, but if you push it this way, it does. So I suspect it's this side over here. So the challenge now, and I've definitely unplugged it because this is obviously 240 over here. The challenge now is to get this board out. Now it seems that it's screwed down here and here and here, and then this metal plate is screwed from the other side of this board. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this one, that transistor screw, this one and this one, and then hopefully we can lift it up and out. I think there's another one there as well. Hopefully we can lift it up and out and have a look at the solders on the bottom of that light. Just while I'm doing this, I just thought that was coming up open circuit on a multimeter, which seems a bit strange. So if there's nothing on this side, then perhaps it's the connection where it goes into the bulb, and maybe it does need a bulb replacement. But we'll have a look at this, see if we can refloor these solder joints, or one of them, and go from there. I'm just gonna have to, that's actually free now, I think. This is that connector's what's going to get in our way. I'm going to need to remove this. And I really don't want to remove that, if I'm honest with you, but I don't have a choice. I don't want to break that. So it seems that unless that can push down, no, there's no space for it. So I'm going to have to remove the motor as well. I'm kind of guessing here, but I'm presuming the motor's just held in with these 3 screws, which is the only 3 that I can see. So once these are out, I'd like to think I can just lift it up and disconnect it from there, which seems to be just a push fit connector. But obviously, I mean, we're borderline, like what, 40 odd years old with this one now. I think it's like late 70s, so I'm a bit, yeah, that's it. I'm a bit wary of breaking anything, if I'm honest with you. In fact, I don't think I need to remove that. This might all come out. No. It lifts up just enough to hopefully disconnect. Yeah. Disconnect that connector, and then remember we can slide that board out. I think actually it's this that's stopping us from playing. Let's get some snips. Alright, I'll just snip this and remove that. And then we should be able to lift this up far enough to allow us to just slide this board out and just move you around so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah. Okay. And then if we go underneath there, try and find the connection for the lamp. Yeah, so it's there and there. So I'm just going to refloor those, see if that makes any difference, and then I'm gonna, if that doesn't make any difference, I'm gonna have to inspect the connections going into the lamp. Alright, let's have a look. I just want to refloor them enough like that. This is a new soldering iron and the tip is a bit too thick for my liking. And that one doesn't want to go. There we go. That's good. And just for good measure, there we go. Let's flip it over and test it. Right, so let's get this plugged in. Just open the tone arm up, and this should click on as soon as the reed switch makes in here when I move the tone arm. There we go. Nice easy fix to start the day. Happy with that. And just demonstrate that again just because I'm satisfied with it. Very nice. So let's put it all back together, give it a test. One thing that's a pain in the ass about this design setup is that if you look at these, they are loose and they just sit about. So when you load the top onto there, these have to align into these the rotational switches and the 2-point switch. So you've got to fit this top and then give them a damn good wiggling until you get them in place. It can take a couple of minutes. So let's release your torn arm again, and then ever so gently, without damaging the torn arm, just get it over the weight, and then into position. And it's a case of, unfortunately, wiggling. That one's in, that one's in. There we go. That's all three in. And then once they're down, we're going to reclip our torn arm, refit the dust cover so we can flip it over and fit our screws. See if I can do this without damaging anything. Obviously you've got to keep hold of it because it's not screwed in. Now it's just a case of just going and refitting these screws, but be careful when you're doing this because the base is kind of composite. I'm sure there's a technical name for it, but it can split quite easily. One of these has actually split, and I've repaired it just with a bit of super glue. I'm just very careful not to over tighten it, if I'm honest with you. There's just that certain level that you want to stop at. So now all they're in, we can refit our platter. Don't refit the platter unless you've screwed that base down, because what happens is this top bit here actually isn't seated properly until you've screwed it down, so the platter can scratch on the outside. And I don't mean you know, that kind of scratching. Just lower it in place and then a gentle. Yeah, we're good. So let's give this a test. Plug it in. Excellent. So I believe that it's gone off. So I'll just stick the torn arm back on. Sorry, the cartridge and head shell, which is getting replaced in the next couple of days anyway. And I'm going to leave this lever up, and there we go. So strobe's working. I'm not going to drop the needle with the lever. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press stop and just make sure it goes off when the torn arm goes back. Perfect. So let's have a play and see if we can get it up to the right speed. So once the record's playing, when you've got it in 33, if you have it there, the platter doesn't turn at all. Once it's in 33, use this one to adjust the speed in accordance with the strobe, and this one here for 45. So I'm not sure what this is going to come out on camera actually, because it's a strobe. But what I'm going to do is we're going to look at the second line of dots down, which if I just use this little piece of solder support, it is this line here. So 1, 2, and this is in accordance with what it says on top of the drum there. So in fact, I need to double check. I think we're 60 Hz in the UK, so it might be the bottom one. No, I was wrong. UK we're 50 Hz. US is 60 Hz. That's how we knew. So we're going to be looking, as I said, on the second row down, this one here. So when I spin it, in order to get it to the right speed, it should look like it's standing still, because the strobe matches, the strobe has been powered at 50 Hz, and therefore we want this to be strobing at 50 Hz. It's spinning it to match the 50 Hz and it'll look like it's standing still. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on, and we're looking at the second row down, so you can see it's moving to the left there. So I'm going to move this dial to the right until it slows down and or stops. Still moving to the left ever so slightly. Very slightly to the left. there we go. So that 50Hz strobe is now matching that second layer, and that is spinning at exactly 33 RPM. So yeah, really happy with that. Nice quick fix, and carries on to live another day. Hopefully I'll be able to fit a new cartridge to this, and yeah, onto whatever's next in the queue.